how dark it's gotten over in Adam's screen.
Yeah, I'm going to go turn a light on.
I have to do that
Please feel
also.
free.
It's very dark here.
It's very dark.
I don't
It is very
understand.
dark.
It's lunchtime.
For you guys. All right, hold on a second. That is much better.
He's back.
We can see you.
I can see.
Oh my god, I didn't see that creepy skull thing in the background last time.
Oh yeah, that's the tribal immunity idol from Survivor Winners at War.
Brilliant.
Oh, that's so cool.
Now, I have a
That's
follow-up
fun.
question. Were you allowed to take that?
Well,
I bought it.
Okay, good.
It was very expensive.
So for any listeners that don't know, they do auction off pretty much all of the props from every Survivor season, and you can bid on them on eBay, and I think they donate almost everything.
I knew that
Yeah,
some people
everything.
did
It's all
that
for
with
charity.
with their buffs. I didn't
That's
know that they
really
did with other
nice.
stuff as
I love that.
well.
Yeah, you can get like people's torches. You can get like, I think some of the cheapest things are like the stumps that we sit on at Tribal Council.
I want a stump.
Man,
So
all I
what
hear
I-
about from Australian Survivor people is, okay, here's what I managed to steal.
Oh, we do that.
Australians just stealing.
Oh, they do that too.
Good.
I did a big casting workshop right after the season finale, and I said it's $40, but everything that we raise is going to go to charity. But the catch is it goes to charity through the Survivor auction where I get to buy cool souvenirs like that.
That's
It was
perfect.
win.
I love it.
Everybody was happy. But I did manage to somehow go extremely over budget when purchasing these souvenirs.
Fair enough. Wait, that is the immunity idol. Oh yeah,
Yes.
that must have been
The-
outrageous.
The immunity idol from for winning immunity
Oh
challenges.
my god.
That's
Yeah, I don't
cool.
even
That's
want
really
to
great.
know how much that thing was.
Yeah. If you're coming to steal things from my house, it's the most expensive things are not what you think. They're running out with the TV, and I'm like, yes.
You fool.
It's the one thing he saves.
Taking my computer. Oh, come on.
Welcome to Podcast This Escape, the podcast where we talk about the escape room that we escaped from in the previous episode of this podcast. We have just finished chapter 2 of What Alice Found. Adam, PG, you guys did great.
Congratulations. This was an intense one.
We got to eat our cake, and we have it.
Perfect.
He ate everyone else's cake, more correctly.
Oh, we got to eat everyone else's cake, and we have ours, too.
Oh,
It doesn't get much more of a win than that. Yeah, I was very happy when you came in. Before we started talking about what the theme of this room is, you expressed significant enthusiasm for licking stuff. And I thought that boded well.
It did. I wish that that would have been the key to many things.
it should have helped.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have it listed in my notes as the wrong answer to a lot of things that I expected
Yes.
people to do.
Now, this is the second time we've done a room set in a bakery.
Yeah.
The initial time, which was in season 5?
Maybe?
Season 5. That was the solution to a lot of puzzles.
Oh, yeah.
There was an entire puzzle where the solution was, mate,
You
just
gotta
just
eat the
eat them.
stuff
Just take
to
a
know.
bite, and then you'll solve the puzzle. And it was this hard thing to overcome, which you would have done immediately. You would have picked up the pies. Spoilers for everybody who hasn't listened to that episode. You would have picked up the pies and just taken bites and be like, yeah, that's easy. I've figured out what all the pies are. I can eat them. But it wasn't so helpful in this bakery room. You guys did. That was a very tough room. That is a very hard room.
Yeah, we knew we needed to get someone experienced to
But
do
you
this
did.
one.
You did well.
The
You got
gurus.
through the gurus made it. Was there any point in that room that made you feel proud of, that you did really well?
Oh god. I will say I felt good about everything. It was really, I feel like it was mainly that one cake topper that really stymied us for quite a bit.
Mm.
Mhm.
Being able to interpret
And
what you're
apparently,
meant to do.
you couldn't interpret my spectacular drawings as cakes looking down.
Yes, true.
Well, I also think we just weren't sure. We weren't sure that it was the cake toppers that we needed to be working on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
it's
so
that-
that we were stuck there for sure.
It's that hard moment of like when you get a puzzle and you don't know whether or not you have the capacity to solve it yet. So you sort of put it
Right.
aside until you think maybe something will hint this.
Right.
Can be tough.
It was slightly
Especially because that did happen in some of the others.
Yeah, I do feel like it was slightly more abstract not having something to indicate like you are supposed to be tracing it. Like, you know, a lot of times if you're in a physical escape room, I'll know if there's a map and directions and we're provided with, I don't know, like a piece of string. You know that you're supposed to wrap it around and follow the directions in a certain order to spell
for
out
sure.
a number. And with this, I guess because it is just an image, it's a little bit harder for me to connect. Okay, I've got to follow the lines. I definitely went into ciphering. I was like, okay, see, I'm gonna have to move down.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to move down the alphabet 2 letters and then move left. You know, like I had this whole. I
Yeah.
had created a whole cipher in my head, and that wasn't it at all.
I think the benefit of the way that one's put together, though, the way Danny's done it, and I think you had this moment, Adam, which is once you start trying to do the tracing on a letter, when you do that first one, it's like so identified. It's like, oh, that is a 5.
Right.
Like that looks
Right.
like once you've got it, you know you've got it. And then later on you realize it's an S, not a 5. But it's so like, I think that when the fact that you've done that is good. Because like you do, like as you're saying, you have to just try it and think, will this work? But once you do, you're like, oh, that is working. Like that does a thing. That's cool. And so
No, that was a really cool one. Especially you think it's a number, and then it turns
I
out
was-
it's, you know.
You did that exactly the way I was hoping that someone would do that.
Yeah,
So
that was
thank
very
you.
good.
that
That
was
was-
great.
Just watch you
that
go-
was great.
like, oh, it's an O with 2. Oh, it's an 8 without the
That
bottom.
was very clever.
Oh
There's
my
always
God.
a risk with that someone is going to go, oh, that looks like an S and an O and a B and an A. Great, soba.
Soba.
I don't know. I guess I go and make some soba.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody made any soba noodles.
That was such a
Is there
great
flour?
aha moment. Like, and I feel like after that was really when we picked up a lot of momentum. And
For sure. Which I then drove to a screeching halt by having to read a lot of stuff too.
True.
I guess I do feel like.
I also.
Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was proud of figuring out the doorbell music.
That
Yes,
was
you got it
instant.
straight away.
Oh, the fact that, you made sure that the doorbell music was important. You figured out, oh, PG, you said so quickly, it doesn't say what to pull. That was such an
that was
internal
good.
happy celebration. That was my fanfare.
I was actually kind of joking, which just goes to show
I-
try anything.
Yeah, that's
And
happened
when
so
you
often.
say it, then it helps your partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then you went straight to, oh, I'm going to pull on some beads.
I gotta pull those beads.
It was perfect. That was really exciting to watch you guys go through that one.
I feel like everything else kind of made sense after that.
Yeah, it definitely was, and you had this with last episode as well, Danny. That you've these rooms have been like people like it just builds up.
They start
slowly,
large
and people
and
don't know
then-
what they're doing, and then there's like a turning point where suddenly it's like, oh, and then I solved this, and then I solved this, and I solved this. Look at this, and like you've already found all the pieces. So as soon as you hear soda, you think, great, I'm going straight to the baking soda. Oh, windows? Great, I know where the windows are. I got to clean those things. Go to the windows. 343, I've seen 343. And it was really, you guys like had this really great pace of just being able to, you'd done all the work beforehand and you're just like connecting them all up, which was great. It was, it's nicely done. I don't know how much you did that intentionally when you were designing the room, Danny, or...
You can sort of tell when you've got either that or the start small, maybe get a little bit more open in the middle and then close again. You can definitely feel the difference.
Yeah.
With
You
those.
guys, it was really cool to listen to on my end. You guys did really well, and you had a really nice flow,
Yeah.
knocking all the dominoes.
The whole thing was very clever. Very, very clever.
It was fun. I love the theme. The receipt. I guess finding the receipt was the thing. We didn't look under any tables.
Oh yeah, we would have been stuck.
That's true, and that's a tricky one to incorporate because people tend to go in two ways with, like, this is the thing with virtual escape rooms. In a physical escape room, the searching everyone does immediately. And in the virtual ones, sometimes people will still say, cool, I want to look under everything. I want to look through everything, make sure everything is there, and sometimes not. So I often don't put too much hidden stuff.
No.
But I anticipated one, with 3 tables in the room, I anticipated a single look under a table or something
And
somewhere.
you that was like kind of malleable truth, right? No matter what
Exactly.
table they looked under, that would be the table that had that note.
Yeah, but in my notes it is the flowers one, but it does say
Or whenever.
malleable. But so yeah, when it just sort of became clear you weren't going to be in the sort of headspace
Yeah,
Yeah,
to be
that was
gave
actually-
us that. That was
So-
a gimme.
it had to be a okay, what action could they possibly take that could get them on the floor?
That's fair enough. That's how I had to clue,
That
like,
was-
in that last game I ran for you, Adam, with the frog, and like having to put the blanket. I feel like I just took the most nebulous of suggestions, and I was like, you put the blanket on the frog and you've warmed it up. Like, you just gotta.
But it is like, that's part of it. Like, sometimes, you don't know, you got to read what a group will do. And there's a certain point where you think, because of all the stuff that you had, you were not going to be like,
We must be
Digging
missing
around for
something that
stuff?
we need to find.
yeah. And
Y-
so
it
you
just
kind of
wasn't
think at
worked
this
that way.
point, where you're just like punishing them for having a different style of play. So you need to just like put this into the world now. Whereas before, so like you want it to be a reward for searching, but you don't want it to be a punishment for forgetting to search.
Yeah, exactly.
So eventually you just need to give it to people
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, cool, that's fine. This wasn't like part of your plan for this room, so we don't need to be like, you fools.
Yeah, it's
why
not
weren't
like
you
you-
searching these imaginary tables?
It's not like you skipped a puzzle or anything.
Right. And then so after that we had the receipts, which I will say I kind of wish we had been given that also.
As a physical thing.
Yeah, on a
Was a
as
picture or
as,
something.
as an
Fair
image.
enough.
But I guess maybe having it spoken is better for the podcast.
Yeah, I think probably when I put the room up, we might make it
Separate
an
out the
additional
document
image.
for people
But it
to
is
play.
true that otherwise what you would get is listeners who are just doing the audio, just listening along, will lose a lot of that information because otherwise it would just be one of you guys reading it word for word. And I think being able to have you write and process it helps for the episode, if not for the playing of the game. Because you're right. If this was a Zoom game that you were doing with friends that you paid, $20 a person
Oh,
to
for
have
sure.
us
I
run
wouldn't
it,
make them waste their time writing
you would have
stuff
that
down.
pre-written. But because we need
Right.
to communicate it to an audience, it's easier to be like, we are going to go through this step by step at a pace that is
We
listenable.
have a lot of
But
control
yeah, you're
over.
right. I think possibly when we publish the room
That's fair.
We'll
Making a
probably
separate
add
document
that
for it.
as a
Hun-
separate
yeah.
document, so people don't need to write it themselves.
Absolutely.
But writing it does. I think you're right. Writing does really help you process it. Like when I used to have to, when I was in school and I'd study, I always just hand wrote everything. And in fact, I would sometimes handwrite all of my notes again, and that's really how I would get the
Yeah.
information to stay in my brain. I thought that was
Yeah,
fun.
I'm like that too.
Yeah, I actually, so we've done a logic puzzle once before. We did it way back in our first season.
We haven't done it again.
No, only once. We did it back in our
Wait.
first season, 3rd episode. We did a logic puzzle, and it was like a full-on logic puzzle. That was one where you have
Yeah.
to draw like, do you know those grids that you do logic puzzles on?
Yeah.
And you have to like have two-sided grids, and everything connects to each other. And that was like a lot, fewer things, but a more robust logic puzzle.
Yeah.
Whereas this really, you didn't
Yeah.
need
This
that.
was
It
a
was like
single
one
step,
unknown element, and I
Like,
think it was.
I don't know
Yeah,
if you
this
can
was
hold up
as
to the
far as
camera.
logic puzzles go. This was pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like you had all of the answers basically given to
I don't know
you.
if you can see. This was Danny's one that I'm just showing to our guests now.
Yeah, that was
where
how
you can
I
see
wrote
she's
it.
done it like one box and then put all the other information on the sides. So it's like a half-sized logic puzzle
Yeah.
grid.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and you guys did really well at that. It's nice you can work through it step by step and just say, okay, but that can't be true for this and that can't be true for that. When we initially wrote this, when Danny initially wrote this, although now that's mean because I'm about to say something bad
Oh
about
no,
it.
yeah.
Um,
Logic puzzles are hard to write, so I didn't write it very well.
It was mostly fine, except there's also an entire extra step that was completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like it was kind
That
of
was
like
a clue that we already knew
it
from
was
the information.
solving for like something that connected names to money or positions, and it was like we already have all of that. Like that doesn't relate to a cake
Yeah.
at all. And so it was this like whole step that when I was playtesting, I was looking at it and being like, oh, actually, I don't. Do I need this? That doesn't tell me anything. That's just extra words that I don't need to read. So we cut that out for yours.
The Cake Toppers one was the other one that went through a big change.
Cake Toppers had a big change. It didn't used to say Cake Toppers.
Yeah, that's true. It didn't have those letters up the top.
It was
It was that it started out looking like numbers, but if you squished them together and got rid of all the gaps, it was supposed to look more like letters.
And I found that it didn't
just
look
didn't
more like letters.
work.
It just looked like squash numbers.
Yeah.
And so it was this, and I got completely stumped because it used to be a capital D that needed to be separate from an O, which was the same shape. So it kind of looked like it said sewer, and then like it was like, oh, but if you squash it, it could say so, and we couldn't quite make it work. And I think going in, you knew that you weren't very happy with it.
I wasn't.
And then we found out that Cake Toppers was the exact right number of letters
For the
for
columns
the
that we
columns,
had.
and we changed it from an uppercase D to a lowercase d, and then thought, oh, to make it like not solvable immediately, that was when we added the note that said swap your P's. So we made it say SOB, which was kind of like a 6A.
And the important part of that was that instruction is also, that's in the baking bench, which is where you find the ingredients. So when you have found that note
You've
and can
also
apply
found
that,
the
you
soda.
already know that baking soda exists in the room.
And so that sort of made everything flow much nicer, I think, which is
And
why
I think that one worked really, really well because we didn't see it as SOBA. We saw it as 506A.
Exactly.
And then once you figure out to change the P's, now it's a word, not numbers.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think, so it worked out a lot. And then, and immediately you were so like, you knew what to do with it as well. You went, soda. And then like you have a plan. And that like,
Right.
it became a lot more, a lot
it
better
worked
structured.
exactly the way that we
That
hoped
was
it
a
would work.
brilliant
So-
moment.
Yeah,
And
that
we
was
went from
great.
like, it's numbers, it's letters. Like, what?
So ultimately, the Cake Toppers was just a red herring.
The words.
Well, we used the
I
P's. We
suppose.
used the P's.
Yeah, you
Yeah, it
needed
was
the P's.
using it to
Oh,
the
only
P's
the
had to
P's.
swap.
Right. It was
Yeah.
only the P's.
So it's kind of like the Cake Toppers wasn't a red herring, but Cake Toers was a red herring. The P's were important.
right.
But no, you guys did really well. It was a tough room, and it took a while, and it's mostly that like collection, because almost everything you do in that room is really just collecting clues to solve the one puzzle. Like all of the window stuff was just to get the idea. All of that literally boiled down to, hey, did you know that orange is blue? You know, like
Right.
the baking soda, the Cake Toppers, the window, the flavor, all boiled down to use the blue flowers, please. And that was all, and like that was kind of what you got from that, and like the fridge and the music and the freezer and the cakes in the window all came down to order a rebus. Like that was all to construct one rebus of, you know. So
right.
it was kind of cool that like we've done that once. We did that with Culloden's, I think, in the game room,
where everything
every
led
single
back to
puzzle was
one
just
thing.
fueling one central puzzle. But I think it's a fun dynamic. It's kind of, it feels kind of like, I don't know, like a Ocarina of Time temple where you keep going back to that central room with the new keys that you found.
Oh.
Like everything boils down to this one moment.
Well, potentially at the same time, making you look back and go, oh yeah, those windows. Wait, did I even use those windows?
What do the windows do?
What was that?
But it's a cool structure, and I kind of liked it. I enjoyed playing it in the playtest.
It's-
Wait a minute. Did we use the windows?
The windows got you the
How to mix
Te
the
Amo
samples,
and Spain
the
and
flags.
Je
Oh,
t'aime.
that's
To know the colors,
That's right.
to give us the blue equals orange.
Yeah, all of that. The windows, the soda, the cake, all just told you that you should use the blue flowers. It's really kind of cool the way it all streamlines.
But then
down.
it also got used again at the end.
True.
Because
it
you
also
needed
used
that final caramel
I
apple
would like
code.
to add one thing.
Oh,
There is a tiny puzzle that we skipped.
what?
A tiny puzzle that got
What?
skipped at the end of the game.
Huh?
What did you put into the?
Oh,
what did you
yeah.
put
I mean,
onto the, like,
I
we
was
should have for
always.
time. Yeah.
I was always planning on accepting both answers to this.
Oh yes, true. But
yeah.
I would like to add one element to the puzzle, which was we got to the final cost. It was 159.
185.
Sorry, 18599. Right, was the final code, and that didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys put in 18600. Now you could argue, and if you had more time, I think we
Right.
would have done this. That's
That
also
we added
wrong.
0.01.
Because you added 0.01, you didn't add 1. So what you
One,
need
right.
is 18699, which would be adding
I like
1.
that, yeah.
I think at the time it would have just ruined the pacing. So like it would have been like that's too many levels, and we're like, you know, and it's
No,
been
I
going
think that
long.
would have been good if you told us if it was wrong.
But there, that is another aspect of that you could say, oh, you didn't add 1, you added 0.01. And so there's a different level to that puzzle.
I always planned on being flexible on that one, but fair enough. That was because that was a debate that we had, in the playtesting thing. The note originally didn't say just add 1 to the passwords. It said add 1 whole number, because I did want to make that one clear. But then when Bill playtested it, he went, okay, so I've got to add a whole number. What whole number?
Yeah. One whole number? 7, maybe?
He thought
I
there
don't
was
know.
still a number that he had to search for through it. And so we got rid of the word whole. So it just became just add 1, which meant that I didn't mind as much, whether you just added 1 to the end or $1.
In my heart, you guys never finished that one.
I agree with you. I agree. I think it should be 1.
It's my
not
room and you
0.01.
did it. You did it and you did it well.
Although
It's just a
We're still stuck.
technically as a code, it is just a 5-digit number and not fractions of a number, right?
You could argue the other way around.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you did technically put in 185.99. I'm just saying.
Well, now it all really comes down to how was this password constructed? Was it constructed based on the knowledge of that 18599 price? Or was that just a coincidence and used as a reminder of the password for you doing this punked style bakery room?
Maybe. Well,
That will really change.
I want to talk about this other element. Now, there's a thing that you said at the end of the very end of the episode, which might have gotten cut depending on, or maybe had some music running over the top of it, which was Adam, your reaction to the camera that we saw on the outside of the bakery.
Oh yeah, that was the one watching us sleep. It was all a dream.
It could be.
Oh no.
But you're right. There was definitely
That's
at the
the
end of
ending.
episode 1. There's the camera that watched us sleeping, and now there's a camera in the
Watching
bakery
us
area as well.
suffer.
So yeah, like this is definitely building up.
We're
to
on
the,
reality TV.
Yeah, this is the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Truman
Who
Show.
would subject
Yeah.
themselves to that?
I know. Could either of you imagine having cameras watching you constantly throughout your day?
No.
It'd be
No
ridiculous.
way. No.
Not even for $1 million would I do that.
Yeah, not even for $1 million. That's great.
Although once you factor in the cost of buying memorabilia afterwards, I'm assuming what 100,000 you made from that after buying the idol.
Yeah, a lot has been spent as well on Survivor-related materials.
And game show winnings in America get taxed normally, don't they?
We don't tax.
We
our
don't
game show
have that
winnings here.
problem. But that's why our prizes are not
They
$1
also
million.
don't give you as much money. Survivors play
If
for a quarter of a
If
million.
I had lived in the state of Nevada instead of the state of California, or in any other number of states, I would have saved over $100,000 on Survivor.
How funny!
such-
You should have moved.
Oh, what a painful
California
difference.
has the highest income, state income tax in the country.
Huh.
So at the highest level, it's like 13%.
That's like 5 more
How
immunity
funny.
idols you could have, Adam.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah, that would have been nice.
We're slowly whittling down
Darn
how much this thing costs.
But no, like I love this kind of this Truman Showy idea. I was not worried. I hadn't heard the outro to this episode, and when you started being like,
Yeah, I don't
wait
tell
a
him the story
minute,
part.
I had that moment of like, oh, is this when the character finds out they're in the Truman Show? And then you went, you're gonna put this on YouTube, aren't you? You got me, Danny.
I feel like I can't decide if this is either my dream come true or my worst nightmare that your entire life has just turned into one continuous escape room.
Ah.
That's true.
I mean, on the one hand, apparently it means people like you just for being you. I suppose that's the one good side of it.
I don't know where this goes. What do you two think? Like, how long do you reckon until the character that you're all playing finds out? Like, when is this going to be like, oh no, I've been Truman'd? Or how long do we think it's going to be like?
You'd assume it's not going to be the big twist in
yeah,
episode 9.
it's not going to be the episode 9 twist. But like, what do you reckon? Like, do you reckon we got one more oblivious episode, and then by the end of next episode, they'll
Yeah,
know? Do you
I
reckon?
think so.
Is that the kind of
Yeah.
pacing that works? Because it'd be hard to string it for much longer than that, right?
I mean, if it keeps happening.
Yeah, I mean, especially if there's a camera in your own bedroom.
Yeah, you're gonna know.
That one. Like, having a camera in a public place, that's way more. But one in your bedroom that you didn't put there.
Mm-hmm. I'll never tell.
Also, what was that stuff at the end of the episode where you were like, Shield's not going to mess with you. No one will. Is the next episode just going to be a rampage? We start destroying cameras around the city?
You just got to get you into a bit of an agitated state.
It's
You're gonna
interesting.
Hulk out at your wedding.
Ooh,
All right.
Oh, maybe is the next episode the wedding? Do we go to the wedding straight away?
You've playtested
I have.
the
Oh wait,
next one.
what is the next one? I have playtested the next one. Oh, okay. No, it's not the wedding. Is episode 4 the wedding? I have playtested episode 3 already. Is episode 4 the wedding? Question mark.
And the other meta-y thing is that, Billy, you're getting prizes for these
I am
episodes.
getting prizes that our guests earn and then give to me. So we've got now these 2 little like blue. I mean, these are cardboard, but we're assuming they're plastic. You know, that's a step up in universe. Triangles that we've collected. One in that Alice in Wonderland room, or Alice through the Looking Glass room, and now another one here in the bakery room. And I have noticed that on the back, they've got these patterns drawn on, and this one looks like it's starting to line up. It looks like you can fit it in the top corner, and it's like some lines that will like turn a corner and become a picture of some kind.
Can I see? Can I see?
A little.
So I think we're drawing a
Gotcha.
picture of some kind. So we'll have to see what this is. You guys will never know. Oh, you mean you will eventually. When our listeners find out, you'll know. But I think we're going to put this all together. It's going to be some physical puzzle. We're going to have to
Put
solve it.
pictures of these triangles on Instagram.
Yeah, let's put triangle pictures on Instagram for everybody. Because it's interesting. It's an interesting conundrum that will come together.
I thought it was like tangram at first.
Oh, you're right. It does have that feeling. Maybe the picture on the back was already there and it's just irrelevant. Maybe it is going to tangram to something. I've made a fish. I've tangrammed a fish for you.
There you go. That's a good looking
That's cool
fish.
that you have little physical pieces now for each one. I like this is something. I feel like, is this something new? You guys didn't have this before, did you?
Oh,
We've
yeah.
had-
Right?
We've had only one other time when we had a physical object.
Oh, that's true.
Which was in the
magic
start of episode
room.
5 in our magic room, where I had a deck of cards that I could like literally like
It
lay out that
wasn't
had
needed,
numbers
but
on
it
them.
was helpful because they needed to be reshuffled.
Our guest had a PDF image of a deck of cards like all face up, but that's much less fun because you don't get to lay them all out. Although they did solve it much faster than me because I was having so much fun laying them out. They were just like, "No, I've solved it already. It's on the PDF. I can just see them." You fool.
Is that
but
the room that you
that's
guys
the only
had
other time
Neil
I've had
Patrick
something
Harris
physical.
on? Is that the magic?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
that was our first room with Neil. And so I got a real deck and he just had a PDF.
That was the first. That was the
What a
first
loser.
podcast that I'd listened to of your guys's.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah,
wow,
that was cool.
That's lovely.
Very cool.
Oh, all right. Well, do you guys have any other questions or fun things that happened in that room?
No, that was great. I was really impressed.
How does
was
that
fun.
compare to the entire experience of Survivor? If you had to have one or the other, this escape room,
Oh, no, this is better.
This
for
had more
sure.
cake.
that's
Yeah.
true.
I got to eat more,
That is an issue.
If it were,
even though I actually ate nothing. Just like pretending to eat was probably more than I ate on Survivor.
you know the most interesting part? If this were Australian Survivor that we were talking about, it wouldn't be true. They ate more cake.
They had a lot of cake on Australian Survivor.
They have the group rewards of a cake shop, and so, a zillion cakes. And of course, there's a
I
hidden.
feel like they have a lot of sweets on.
Oh, yeah.
Australian
And there's
Survivor.
like a hidden clue on the baseboard of one of the cakes, so everyone just picks up
Right.
every cake and starts shoving it in,
I
trying to
have-
find the hidden
Oh,
clue.
that was crazy when they had to go through all the cakes.
I,
Oh my god.
I love those so much.
I have a Survivor-based escape room question, which I
Oh.
would like to put to the group,
Okay.
but not to you. Just to the cool group over here.
Oh, the guru.
It is a two-prong question.
gurus.
The first prong of this question is there any challenge that you have done in a game of Survivor that you have seen in a real escape room?
oh, boy.
Any of the puzzles that you do at the end? Or if not, if that's hard
Maybe
to think
just the
of.
number thing. Like here, you have some numbers, and then you have to put them in the right order. Like there in Survivor, a couple times I've done this, where they give you 3 numbers, and then you just and they're both 2-digit numbers, and then you have to do like a combination
Oh,
thing, and
yes.
you just don't know the order that they go in, and you just gotta try
Chance
them
it up and see
until
how
you get one.
Oh, the
Is
trial
there-
and error ones are
I
frustrating.
suppose the follow-up question is there a puzzle that you have done in Survivor that you would enjoy, that you think you could enjoy in an escape room? Or maybe the
Well,
other way
I
around?
was gonna say
that a
so not in a challenge that I've done, but Adam, on your season on the Extinction Island, You remember they had those little chests? Like, so they had this thing where, like, at the top, they had to open, they needed to figure out a combination to open these boxes. And people were like, what the heck is this combination? And I think it was Natalie Anderson that figured out, when they got their little chests telling them what to do with those boxes, there was like a little necklace decoration that was like shells that were tied with beads. Right? There were like shells, 3 shells, a knot, maybe 2 shells, a knot, and then like 8 shells. Right?
Oh,
so
man.
And
that was the code. And,
That was the code.
That's
and you
cool.
see on there. So I was like, this is exactly like something that you would see in an escape room.
That is very escape
And then
roomy.
you know what she did? She
Good call.
she took a rock and she went to everyone else because everyone got their own necklace that had presumably the same code. She went to everyone's necklace and she broke their shells. Like she would break like 1 or 2 of them.
Oh,
So
that's
they
that's
would not
cool.
have the correct number. And I remember seeing this and my mind was blown. I was like, it's so sneaky. It's so smart.
That's wonderful.
That's what we need more in escape rooms.
I gotta
Yeah,
put more
I wish they had
Actually
more
sabotage.
sabotaging.
I wish they had more challenges like that when I got to Extinction, but then starting from the time that I got there, it's like, how far and how fast can you
Did you
run?
have to carry
Yeah.
10
Oh
like 20
God.
logs up and down a freaking cliff?
That was the coconuts
Oh my
back and forth
God.
around the other side of the
Everyone's
island.
favorite.
Yeah.
Lovely.
man.
And yeah. It's terrible. Ugh.
Because I liked it. And it was
Stupid
such a
Edge.
nothing thing, but an early room that we did, when we did in London, it just involved really huge, like they were meant to be like electrical connectivity cables, but they were massive industrial sized cables. And we just had to like untangle them and then plug them into the right places at one end of the room and the other. And just picking up huge heavy things and lifting them from one end of a room to another, that was the most Survivor I have ever felt. It was such a small thing, but it made me really happy.
Good. Wonderful. Well, we can probably wrap up that post-show episode there. Thank you both for coming on
You
the show.
were
It was great to have
fantastic
you.
players. It was
You did
lovely.
very well.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us. It was a great
It's so much
room.
fun.
If people wanted to hear more of you or follow you in social media places, or if you have any projects going on,
PG can remind us of that podcast.
Yeah, well, why don't we start with Adam, because I know that PJ has something to his podcast to link. Adam, is there anywhere that people can find you online or things that you're doing?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Survivor Adam, although I don't know how people still have stuff to post because I'm not doing anything. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not traveling. Like, what are people posting?
Puzzles. Jigsaw
but,
puzzles.
Yeah. I'm on Twitter at Adam Scott Klein, and then I'm doing some casting coaching if you're trying to get on reality television or just want to be a better storyteller and speak with more passion and conviction. Then I'm doing some workshops and private sessions and whatnot, and so that's all on my website, adamklein.com.
That's cool.
Wonderful. We'll have links to all of those in the show notes. PG, where can people find you?
So I'm at PG pretty much everywhere. That's my first name spelled out, PEIHGEE. I've also been streaming some games on Twitch. It has slowed down a little bit recently, but I try to still do them. They're usually on Sundays. I have different survivors come on, and we play different board games, a lot of like social deduction strategy games like Werewolf. It's really fun. So there's also a Patreon for that. It's patreon.com/PGplays, PEIHGEEPLAYS. And I've had to wait. I have so many projects that I've been working on over quarantine. So I'm also, like I said, we're launching the podcast. It will be called Reality Escape Podcast. And my co-host will be David Spira of roomescapeartist.com. We will be announcing it soon, so it's not out yet. So you guys are getting a special little a pre-announcement for it, I suppose. But if you can go to roomescapeartist.com, we will be announcing that very shortly. And you can also follow them on all of their social media. That's where we'll be posting announcements about the podcast. And it is at Room Escape Artist on Instagram, and on Twitter it is at Room Escape Art.
Wonderful. All right, and for people, look, you've already found us. Hello, welcome. But if you're looking to follow us and more things, we are on Twitter at EscThisPodcast. We're on Instagram as Escape This Podcast. And we also have other shows. We do a show called Solve This Murder, where Danny creates murder mysteries that I try and solve as a bumbling detective. And you can find everything that we do at consumethismedia.com, which has all of our stuff, including our Twitch channel, which is playthisgame_live, where we play a whole bunch of games and we do Nancy Drew every weekend. And also, I published a game. If you'd like to go and buy a fun 4-page tabletop role-playing game, that's also, you can find that on consumethismedia.com. I just published a game called Gateways, where you use interdimensional portals to pull off a heist. So if you ever want to play a game like that, check it out. It's on the website and you can also go to consumethismedia.itch.io. There's links to that below as well. I'm trying to do a game every month this year, so you can follow there and find a lot of weird little tabletop games. You can also support us on Patreon. Anybody who supports us on Patreon has the chance to appear as an NPC in our rooms. I'm assuming, Danny, you know who that was?
Absolutely. So we had both Blake, your fiance, and Haley, good old, totally reliable Haley. Thank you so much to both of you.
We also have bonus audio for $5 subscribers, including the playtest that we were talking about in this episode, and other stuff for Solve This Murder, like our 2-minute mysteries, where we solve mini murder mysteries written in the 60s. Not all murder mysteries. Some of them are just like, who dropped this cake on the floor? So that's a fun bonus show as well. There's also badges for our $10 donors and a whole bunch of other stuff, and there's a link to that below. It's patreon.com/consumethismedia. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, PG and Adam, for coming on the show.
Much.
It was great to have you. All right. Bye, everybody.